flash and I missed it? Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I will call to order a Wilsonville City Council meeting for October 19, 2020 at 7:09 p.m. and request a roll call, please.
Councillor Linville?
Here.
Councillor West?
Here.
Council President Ackerval?
Here.
Councillor Lehan?
Here.
Mayor Knapp?
Here. Thank you all for being here. Mr. Cosgrove, could you lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Council, I'm open on a motion on order of agenda. Councilor Linville.
Your Honor, I move, excuse me. I move approval of the order of agenda.
Thank you. Motion by Councilor Linville. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Lehan. Thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye. Aye.
Have 5 in favor. It's unanimous on the order of agenda. I'm fumbling here for a second on upcoming meetings. October, right? Don't have too much scheduled here this week. We've got a board meeting of the, that's not either. I've got the October meeting for the Metropolitan Mayors Consortium, and I've got scheduled a mayors and chairs meeting that may be canceled at the county level, but we'll have to see how that goes. Next week, we have a meeting of the Greater Portland Economic Development, what is the formal name? GPED, Greater Portland Economic Development District, I think is what that is. And I've been working with them. They have been putting a lot of effort into talking about recovery plans for the entire Portland metropolitan region. And I've been privileged to have some communication on that and some input into that process. It's still being worked out, but there's a bunch of very capable people working on that. So we're looking forward to how that process may yield some concrete steps on how the region as a whole can overcome the problems that we've had arising out of the COVID issue and potentially somewhat out of the social disruption that has happened for some of the businesses downtown also. So that's enough of that. We don't have formal communications scheduled for this point in the meeting, and that then would lead us to our citizens input section. Now, I received notification that there is someone wanting to testify, but I'm not clear if that would be citizen input or if that would be on a public hearing later in the meeting.
We don't have any public hearings, Mayor, so it'd have to be under public comment.
All right, that's what I needed to know. Thank you. So that brings us then to that section, which is citizen input and community announcements, which is an opportunity for visitors to address council on items not on the agenda, also time to address items that are on the agenda, but not scheduled for public hearing. Staff and council will make every effort to respond to questions raised during citizens input, either before tonight's meeting ends or as quickly as possible thereafter as we can. We do ask you limit your comments to 3 minutes, and I believe Mr. O'Malley from the Wilsonville Area Chamber would like to comment at this point, if my information is correct. Mr. O'Malley, are you there? I can see you now. You're on mute. There we go.
Go ahead, sir. You're ready?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Councilors. My name is Kevin Ferraccio O'Malley, and I'm the CEO of the Wilsonville Chamber of Commerce. I'm here this evening to provide input regarding Resolution 2856, a resolution of the Wilsonville City Council establishing the Wilsonville Investment Now, WIN, program administrative rules. The Chamber believes that WIN represents a very promising opportunity to encourage significant quality development within the city of Wilsonville, and most importantly, positive growth opportunities for more new, great-paying jobs. We applaud the City of Wilsonville staff and leadership for your creativity in developing WIN. It demonstrates innovative thinking, which can provide the city with enough flexibility to meet the very fast-changing economic marketplace that is the world we live in today. Specifically, we believe that you're moving beyond the limiting concept of traded sector thinking will open the door of the city to be proactively selective with important emerging new business opportunities. Finally, we are trusting that the administrative rules process, when it operates in the real world, will be transparent, non-political, and not burdensome. Again, congratulations to the city for developing WIN. We appreciate collaborating with you in this process. And we look forward to a day in the not too distant future where WIN will be instrumental in enabling the city of Wilsonville to attract its next great quality employer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the input. Staff, is there any further input available at this time?
Anybody
or
else?
Requested at this time?
Not at this time, Mayor.
All right. Appreciate that input. We'll get to that under new business when we get a little further down the agenda on the WIN program. Next item up is Councilor comments, liaison reports, and meeting announcements, where we'll request input from each of the councilors, starting with Councilor President Eckerval.
Thank you. Yes, last week I was able to attend the virtual version of the LOC annual conference, and I found that conference, although in a different format this year, being through a series of Zoom meetings, to be, again, very beneficial. I participated in the counselors' workshop opening session, which focused on diversity, equity, inclusion work, and appreciated that session, as well as several sessions that followed looking at response to COVID, economic development, some response to emergency management, which seems to be a theme for 2020. But overall, was able to gain helpful information, and also just it's great to hear what other cities across the state are doing. In the sessions, even in the virtual environment, there was opportunity to kind of do some breakouts and ask, what's going on in your city, or what have the thoughts or the conversations been like around, any number of different topics. So I really appreciated that opportunity to participate in that conference. And coming up, I'm looking forward to tomorrow, actually, planning on attending a session that's being presented by the Home Builders Association on the book, The Color of Law, which I've heard very recommended. So I'm looking forward to participating in that and having another learning opportunity in that forum as well. And then I guess the following week, I've got a meeting with the Willamette Intake Facilities Commission this coming Monday, and we'll be participating in that. And that's what I have to present. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And I've lost my place. Councilor Lehan.
Yes, I don't have anything particular to add this week other than to remind everyone to vote. As they've been talking about vote by mail for the last several months as if it was a new invention, but of course we are very well schooled in vote by mail, so no excuse. But I would say, from what I could see at the turnaround, when I was at City Hall at the ballot drop off, a lot of people are going earlier than usual. So I would encourage everyone to go ahead and get your ballot in as early as you can. That's it.
Thank you very much. Councilor West.
I am excited by this. Actually, I don't know if everybody knows this, but we have a new dog park opened at Memorial Park, off leash. Take your best friend down to the park, and I'm really. It opened on the 16th, just a couple days ago. The hours are. Brian, you can help me, or Bill, I don't know if he's there, but is it 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. is what I see in my email here. So you guys can go early before work or even after dinner. There's plenty of time to go. Go take your best friend out there and social distance and have a good time in our new park. And I know we have another one coming online in Villebois. I just walked by it with my dog yesterday, getting a sneak peek to see how much longer we're going to wait for the one in our neighborhood. So those are exciting for us. And then I said this last week, the last council, but I want to remind everybody, if you want to engage in your city, we've always had a really robust community that's really engaged and tried to make sure that they put their mark on where they live. And I absolutely encourage everybody to do that. The 2021 Citizen Academy deadline, where you can learn more about the city and how to get involved, that deadline to apply is Halloween. So that's coming up also, just another friendly reminder. I don't have much else to report. Want to tell everybody again, I want to second what Councilor Lean has said, get out and vote and let your voice be heard. And you can mail it in still, or you can drop it off at a drop box right here at City Hall. Well, not where we're at because we're at home, but at City Hall. So yeah, everybody get out there and bubble your ballots and come in.
All right, thank you very much. Councilor Linzo.
Thank you, Your Honor. I also had the opportunity to attend the virtual LOC conference. I was really impressed. I was very suspect in the beginning about how in the world would this happen, but I guess my mode of attending conferences is to have the ability to sneak into a room, get the good part of that meeting, and then sneak out and go to another one that I also wanted to see as well. And oh my goodness, you can do that really easily virtually, and no one knows that you've left. So it was great to be able to hop from one to the next and kind of get a good flavor of what was going on. I think there was a real emphasis on equity and diversity and social justice, which I think there is some real opportunity, I think, for the council to engage some of those professionals to come and do some work with our leadership, both at the staff level and with the council. I think there were some very interesting perspectives and things that I think are important that we need to hear. So, and the best part of all of it is that all of the sessions are all available online now, so I can go back and look at any of the ones that I missed. So I'm really excited about that and can take my time to do that. I have a meeting this week, the French Prairie Forum is October 21st, and the topic, I believe, is going to be transportation. So I'm excited about that. I went through the city reports, and I just have a couple of things that I wanted to bring out. I also, as Councilor West said, I'm excited about the dog park too. Actually, I would have loved to have my dog go down and cut the ribbon. I would have enjoyed that, and I think she would have as well. But it looked like our staff did a great job, and I look forward to at least taking her down there and getting a look around. So here are just some highlights that I got from our staff reports, and I'll go through them really quickly. During the time that our city was closed down and the air quality was so poor, our building inspection staff did remote building inspections on FaceTime. It took longer, but how great was that, not to hold up our citizens that were waiting for their final inspections as well as our contractors. The parks playgrounds opened up this month, and so that was a very exciting thing. It puts more work on our staff to have to maintain those and make sure that they are safe, but I think that's just a wonderful thing that they are able to be open. And then I want to give a real kudos to our SMART program and SMART leadership. And this is under the guise of who does that. When you look at what they're doing, the staff, Michelle Marston, under the leadership of Michelle Marston and Pete Padron, they went to the Autumn Parks apartment where we have low-income families and did personal connections with the families there in English and in Spanish. They're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month during the month of September, and the statement was that they are bringing equity and inclusion into everything that we do. And what a model that is for all of our city staff and departments. And then the last thing I would like to do is, we heard a little bit earlier from Ms. Jacobson about our local businesses that are restaurants particularly that are now having to maybe think about strategies as the rain comes and the weather comes. They've used those outdoor spaces to increase their capacity to deal with the restrictions of COVID. And I'm concerned about what's going to happen to them as the rain comes, and wondering if there isn't some opportunity for the city to partner with our small businesses, in much like we did with our small business program, our grant program, and wonder if and I've had a little bit of conversation with our city manager about this, and I don't know, Brian, if you want to talk about maybe some of the options at this point, or do it under your report. But I was asking our city manager, is there some way that we can help our restaurants particularly that are going to lose that extra capacity to serve customers and some of the gains that they've made in being able to do this during the warmer months?
We could do it now because I did task Jordan Vance with providing an update to you, and I know he's sitting in on a virtual kind of conference with other cities that are thinking about this very issue, and I think that's on Wednesday.
That's right, that's on Wednesday. So the city of Wilsonville, I can turn my video on here. Hi, Jordan Vance, Economic Development Manager. So we've partnered with some neighboring cities. We've partnered with Sherwood, Tigard, and Forest Grove to offer a webinar series for the next 6 months. And the first topic that we're focusing on is how to prepare for winter sales, specifically for restaurants. So we're partnering with an architecture firm in downtown Portland that's going to talk all about site plans, signage, outdoor dining environments, and how to really extend the outdoor dining into the rainy season. And so that's something that we'll be offering this Wednesday morning, and we've promoted that to all of the restaurants in Wilsonville. And as part of that, we're extending our Dine Out Wilsonville program, which expedites requests for outdoor dining and also waives any associated fees with those requests.
So it is kind of top of mind for us, Counselor, and we'll be bringing back hopefully some ideas on what we can do, including possible grant programs. We do have some COVID relief funds in a bank at the state. I'm not sure how much we have left in that bank, but as we move forward and we meet with our local restaurants and dining establishments to figure out what their specific needs are, we can come back and turn on a dime. I think the important pieces we have in place right now, you've authorized the city attorney to basically allow me to delegate to the planning manager to get rid of as much bureaucracy as possible by waiving fees and allowing her and her staff to turn these site plans around as quick as possible. So from that aspect, I think we're where we need to be, but in terms of what resources we can bring to bear and what the needs are, that's going to be more of a dialogue and conversation. Jordan will gain a bunch of information from our sister cities to the north, south, east, and west, and then we'll come back with some ideas for you. And we'll try to work with the chamber director as well.
That would be really great. Thank you for moving on that request.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, that's the end of my comments.
Thank you, Councilor Linville. Councilor Akkerval, your question?
I apologize about interrupting in this because I know I already had my sequence, but before Jordan leaves, however, it looks like he just already disappeared, but he's probably still in the room, so he can hear.
There he is.
Okay, there you are. Great, you're back. Okay, so along this topic, another thought, that I've heard from community members and also that's kind of come out of the LOC conference, those last week and hearing conversations and stuff, is I know our city has initially, with kind of the onset of COVID, we had the website with the map and I think it's going through the GIS database, right? So you can click on the location and it gives some information on, their opening and stuff during this period. I've heard from community members, particularly about the outdoor eating environments and setups. I wonder if that's a data item that could be added to the map.
Yeah.
And the Clackamas County actually also has a map. So, in your communications with neighboring areas, it is something that comes up that they could add to their map too, because I do think that's something that community members are interested in and trying to continue to support businesses through this winter. And it's great to know if I got a spot to sit maybe under an umbrella if it's a little chilly or something like that. So I wanted to bring that idea forward in a way to kind of help both community members looking for environments that they might feel comfortable in and safely eating at the restaurants too, and also for the businesses to kind of advertise the amenities that they are trying to offer in this special circumstance. So.
Yes, those are just another layer in the database, so it's easy to add additional information like heaters and tents and whatever else, what other criteria we come up with.
So before Jordan goes,
come on back, Jordan.
One of the discussions that we have had over time, revolved around food trucks. And where you have food trucks in a lot of cities, you have a communal eating place under cover sometimes, out in the open sometimes. Our concept for the town center plan, that we would have a lot more gathering spaces for people to socialize and whatnot. It's difficult in this environment, but all those threads seem to point toward the question of how could we jumpstart that in some way? Is there any way to have a circus tent-sized covering that we would put up in the parking lot of the area near the food places where people could go sit down outside? We would have to have spacing and whatnot like that. I don't know if that's a completely harebrained idea, but in trying to think about ways to assist restaurants getting through the winter with being able to have more customers come than they have indoor seating themselves. I don't know. I just, it's out there, but it seems to me like we should, talk about what are the pros and cons about that. How would it work? Who would pay for it? How big is the cost factor? What are the downsides to trying to provide a place for the public? I don't know. But there you go.
That's a great idea. Thank you, Mayor. My head went to the same place with this, that it aligns exactly with our town center plan in outdoor gathering places that are year-round, covered areas. We have a great relationship with some of our commercial property owners, and I know of a couple restaurants that are already looking into a party tent to extend outdoor dining for the winter season here, and are already going to plan on submitting an application to the city. So I think that's something we can continue to explore with our planning director and community development director. And if there are additional funds we have access to, potentially the city could be in a position to help fund heaters or tents or that type of thing for restaurants.
Yeah. And to be able to participate, again, kind of going back to like our discussion about the arts and how we need to be a convener, maybe we need to be a convener in the same way for some of the small business restaurant community that can't individually all do this, but could participate if we provided a mechanism that was sufficient to do so. So it is a challenge. I know it's a challenge. All right, thank you. I also, I guess, on community events should mention that there's several interesting Halloween things going on. If the public would like to check their calendars, there's day by day this week, whole hidden pumpkin contest going on where people can go find the prize. There's a different announcement at a different time each day. There's also some virtual Halloween jack-o'-lantern contests, and check the Parks Department information, because this week and even into next week, there are some interesting things going on. There's some chalk in the park scheduled to come up. So we're trying our best to have some fun, interesting public events, even while we have to comply with the demands of the COVID response plan. So don't give up on those things. All right. Why don't we proceed then, if we can. Our next item up is our consent agenda with multiple items. If we could ask for staff to read that.
Resolution number 2841, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Murray Smith to provide engineering consulting services for the Coral Creek and River Green Lift Station Rehabilitation Project. Resolution number 2854, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract with Schneider Equipment, Inc., DBA Schneider Water Services, for construction of the Ellingson Well Upgrades and Maintenance Project. Resolution number 2855, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement contract with OTAC, Inc., for engineering services for the 5th Street Kinsman Road Extension Project. And finally, minutes of the April 15, 2019, September 21, 2020, and October 12, 2020 City Council meetings minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Jacobson. Appreciate that. Council, is there a motion on consent?
Your Honor, I would move to approve the consent agenda as read, except for a minor change, which would be that is Corral Creek, not Coral Creek.
That's correct.
Thank you.
It's correct in the agenda.
Motion by Councilor Lehan. Is there
It's correct in the agenda. I'm just saying it has 2 R's.
Yeah, the city attorney's just thinking about her next diving expedition.
I know, she was thinking about going to the coast. I see.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Second by Councilor Ackerval. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have 5 in favor, unanimous on consent agenda. Thank you very much. That brings us then to our new business. First of all, Resolution 2856.
Resolution 2856, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville City Council establishing the Wilsonville Investment Now WIN program administrative rules.
Thank you, Mr. Vance and our consultant, Mr. Popnick. Thank you for showing up again and leading us through this proposal a little bit.
All right, good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us. My name is Jordan Vance, Economic Development Manager, and I'm here joined via Zoom with our project consultant, Nick Popanook of Tiberius Solutions, to present the final Wilsonville Investment Now or WIN program for adoption by Resolution 2856. I'll start off with a quick overview of the history of the TIF zones in Wilsonville. So in 2013, the Wilsonville City Council approved the designation of 6 separate properties as individual urban renewal districts. Each of these properties were referred to as a tax increment financing or TIF zone. The TIF zones use the same funding mechanism as standard urban renewal districts. However, rather than fund large-scale, long-term projects, the TIF zones were intended to provide property tax rebates as a development incentive for qualifying companies who invest in any of the 6 properties. Ultimately, none of the development that occurred within the TIF zones met the eligibility thresholds established for the program, and the existing TIF zones incentive program expired in November 2019. The original approach to TIF zones had limitations as an economic development tool. First of all, it required identifying a handful of specific sites in advance, and therefore is not applicable to the vast majority of potential development sites in the city. Second, the thresholds for qualifying development were rigid and did not allow flexibility to accommodate a wider range of potential businesses. And last, each site required the adoption of an urban renewal plan. Those plans have annual administrative requirements and also require consultation with affected taxing districts to renew or extend the plans when they reach their scheduled termination dates. We were given direction from Council in 2019 to pursue modifications to the TIF zone program. The city's Urban Renewal Task Force met on July 22nd, 2020 to discuss what we're now calling the Wilsonville Investment Now or WIN proposal, and provided unanimous feedback that it was a good direction to take. The group, which includes impacted taxing districts and private sector partners, concluded that the program will make the city more competitive with business recruitment, expansion, and retention. We even had explicit comments from some of the taxing districts saying that they thought this was a responsible and innovative use of TIF funds. The key recommendation from the group was to incorporate additional factors into the WIN program, including diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, and local business expansion. We took the ORA task force feedback back to Council on September 10th and were given direction to incorporate the recommendations into the final program proposal, which we're sharing tonight. A couple quick important reminders to keep top of mind as we review the final program proposal tonight. First, this is a modification to the TIF zone program, not a net new program. The criteria and rules are different, but the underlying concept is the same as before, which is to use urban renewal tax rebates to incent business investment. Second, tonight's action is only to adopt administrative rules, not an urban renewal zone or a qualifying project. The adoption of the rules will create a valuable economic development tool for staff in marketing Wilsonville to prospective developers and businesses, especially during these very uncertain economic times. The first question I consistently get from businesses is about incentives, so this will give us a very innovative and fresh local program to talk about. And then last, we won't be looking at adopting any site-specific urban renewal areas until a qualifying project comes in the door, at which time there will be a 4-month process, including a public hearing, council consideration, and citywide notification to approve the plan. So I'll now turn it over to Nick to walk us through the key components of the WIN program. Nick, you might be on mute, but I can't hear you.
All right. Thanks for the notification. Thank you, Jordan. So to go over the details of the WIN program, this key to keep in mind is that this is a tax rebate. It is not a tax exemption or a tax abatement. That means that any qualifying business must demonstrate that they meet all of the required criteria and pay their taxes each year, have those qualifications be verified by city staff, and then receive a tax rebate. This protects the taxpayers in the city from any businesses that might not be able to live up to their end of the agreement. The eligibility criteria include the value of new investment, the number of new employees, and the compensation of those new employees. Additionally, there are bonus points that can be earned in that evaluation criteria for diversity, equity, and inclusion commitments, as well as for businesses that have been operating in Wilsonville for a number of years. This program offers 2 tiers of benefits depending on the score that an applicant receives. Those benefits would include a tax rebate for a period of 4 years if they achieve a lower threshold, and a tax rebate for a period of 7 years if they achieve a more rigorous threshold. And this program is intended to be eligible for all properties citywide, with the exception of existing urban renewal areas, as no property is allowed to be in 2 urban renewal areas at a time. And the WIN program does require the use of urban renewal in order to implement it. Benefits for qualifying businesses would be a tax rebate of 100% of the tax increment finance revenue that's generated by the new investment. It's important to keep in mind, though, that tax increment finance revenue only includes permanent rate levies and not general obligation bonds or local option levies. This means that the benefit to the business is equal to roughly 2/3 of their property tax bill, rebated each year for 4 to 7 years. This also means that for those overlapping tax districts that do have local option levies, including the school district and the fire district, those local option levies would not be impacted by the TIF zone program or the WIN program in terms of foregone revenue, and they would see immediate benefits from new development participating in this program. The WIN program scoring system looks at these 4 buckets of different criteria. Capital investment, in which 1 point is awarded for every $500,000 of investment made on the site. New employment, where the points are based on the average wage of the new jobs created there compared to the county average wage. Those jobs are worth anywhere between 0 and 0.6 points per job, depending on wage level. In addition to those core criteria, additional criteria award points for local business tenure. So for every year that a business has been operating in the city of Wilsonville, an additional 0.5 points can be earned. That caps out at a maximum of 4 points for any business that's been operating in Wilsonville for 8 years or more. Additionally, businesses can earn an additional 4 points for meeting 2 of the following diversity, equity, and inclusion criteria. These criteria include business certifications as either being a minority, woman, disadvantaged, or veteran-owned business, certified B Corporation, having a DEI procurement plan, a DEI workforce development plan, a DEI company program with at least 1 FTE dedicated to it, or offering on-site employer-provided childcare. After adding up all the points that an applicant earns, any score below 60 points would not qualify for the WIN program benefits. Scores between 60 and 79 points would qualify for partial benefits, which would mean 4 years of tax abatement. And those businesses that have over 80 points would qualify for the full benefits, which would be a 7-year tax abatement. On this slide, we see a screenshot of the WIN application form. This form is intended to be user-friendly and straightforward, a 2-page form where developers can easily see the information they need to enter and submit to the city to understand whether or not they would qualify for the abatement program. On the example that's currently shown on the screen, due to 150 jobs and a wage of $80,000 per year, which is significantly more than the countywide average, this business is shown to qualify for the full amount of the incentives. The city is limited in the ability to process applications for this program based on the total acreage of properties inside urban renewal areas within city limits. So Oregon statutes limit the amount of property inside any city that's within an urban renewal area to no more than 25% of the total acreage. At the moment, the city is looking at 22.2% of its acreage inside the existing urban renewal areas for the year 2000 plan, West Side plan, and Coffee Creek. That leaves roughly 143 acres of available capacity for projects to qualify for the WIN program. It's worth noting, though, that the year 2000 plan and West Side plan are both nearing the end of their scheduled lives, and within a few years should both expire, which would result in total capacity of roughly 1,000 acres across the city for this program, which would be far more than enough to accommodate any anticipated demand for the WIN program. The application itself, again, is intended to be clear and objective, making it an easy application for any interested developer. Once that developer submits the application, it must be approved by the city before they begin doing any construction. An approved application has to come after a pre-authorization conference between the developer and city staff to make sure both sides understand the requirements of the program and what is being offered. After an applicant has been approved via that pre-authorization conference, the city would then begin developing two documents: an urban renewal plan, which would officially implement the tax increment finance mechanism, and a development agreement, which would be a legal agreement between the city and the developer stipulating which each party is agreeing to. That urban renewal plan has a significant public process to adopt it. That includes a public hearing, citywide notice, and the responsibility for the city to consult and confer with the affected taxing districts. One question was on whether or not the urban renewal, the WIN program, could be used for properties that are already within the Coffee Creek urban renewal area. Unfortunately, it is not possible for a property to be within two different urban renewal areas at the same time. There are, however, some approaches for using the WIN program in Coffee Creek. One would be to remove property from the Coffee Creek urban renewal area in order to put it into a new WIN program urban renewal area. That approach, however, would have significant negative impacts on the financial capacity of the existing Coffee Creek urban renewal area, limiting the ability to build infrastructure there. Another approach would be to amend the Coffee Creek urban renewal area to allow for the expenditure of TIF revenue on reimbursements of taxes to private sector developers there. While that approach may be valid, it still does have some financial impacts on the Coffee Creek urban renewal area. At this point in time, staff has recommended that the city decouple these programs and have further conversations about how Coffee Creek can best incentivize economic development within its boundaries. Jordan, I think I turn it back over to you here for the final wrap-up.
All right, thank you, Nick. So I'll just kind of summarize here our key takeaways for staff. We feel like this is a really important program. It's going to be an important economic development tool for staff, and will really distinguish Wilsonville as a business-friendly city, and builds on our history here of innovation, doing things the Wilsonville way. It's the first program of its kind in Oregon, and we've had communities from around the state who are very interested in learning more about it and trying to understand how they could replicate this model in their jurisdiction. So we're very proud of our work. We thank council for your critical help in shaping the policy and giving us direction to pursue it. And this concludes our presentation. So at this point, I can turn it over to council for discussion and the recommended next steps of adopting administrative rules by resolution 2856. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation. Very interesting stuff. I also refer council to the earlier public testimony that we had from Mr. O'Malley relating to this topic. Are there questions for staff? No clarifications, no additional data, no. Council has been receiving updates all along on this program, and of course its roots back in the TIF zone program that we had developed during the 2008, 9, 10 downturn with very similar objectives The structure is being proposed is a little different now, and we're trying to adapt to the real world out there, which I think is desirable. Councilor Linville.
Well, Your Honor, I appreciate that we had a fairly lengthy work session on this new program, and we're able to get a lot of our questions addressed and concerns. I wanted to just thank Jordan and Nick and our economic development department and the chamber for their review of this program and recommendation. I think that's helpful to hear from them as it relates to business in our community. And one of the things that I really wanted to point out, I mean, without being the master of the obvious, is that there are some incentives for our current businesses in this program, which might not otherwise have been in our previous program. So I think that is a really good policy and really good way for us, particularly at this point in trying to impact economic recovery for the community, to put these incentives in place. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Not seeing any questions, gentlemen. So I think that is all the technical discussion. If it pleases the council, we would be open to a motion at this point in time, after which we could have some discussion on perspectives if you would like to. Is there a motion? Councilor President Akravall.
Yeah, I move to approve resolution number 2856.
Thank you. Motion from Council President Akravall. Is there a second?
Councilor I'll second.
Second by Councilor Lehan. Discussion. Councilor President Akravall.
Thank you. Yeah, I would like to say thank you so much to Jordan Vance and Nick for your work on this, but also to our task force. You know, this actually started before COVID hit us, and the initial task force meeting had to be rescheduled because we were in kind of those early throes of, you know, what's going on and how do we react. And so the program, you know, I'm really grateful to the rest of the council and to staff for having foresight on, let's start thinking about a program that we might need in the future when something impacts us greatly and we do have a downturn. And then, well, that downturn showed up maybe quicker than any of us thought it was going to happen. So I appreciate that foresight, that things were in motion. But once we were in the process with the task force, I really do feel like they added a lot to the conversation around the program, the suggestions around having the extra credit structure, right, for the expansion of our current Wilsonville businesses, and also looking at bringing businesses that have a focus in benefiting the community in multiple ways through those DEI bullets. And this is an example of when you get many people into the room with different perspectives that represent the business community, the chamber certainly, as well as our taxing districts that had great input. And when you get everybody together and, you know, is able to kind of coalesce around suggestions that's going to make it be a strong win, not just for the businesses, but a win for the community as a whole. So I really appreciate all of those many contributions that went into this. And I'm excited for what it can offer Wilsonville. So we will see what the future holds. But thank you for all of your contributions.
Thank you. Other comments? Anybody? I guess I just would like to give a little perspective. You know, Mr. Vance is our first economic development director. You know, we did not have an economic development department when I first became mayor, when we started on this. And I think that the work that the economic development department has done, Mr. Vance has done, has been very beneficial to us. And I think that the ability to be responsive as we are feeling our way forward, I guess, with an innovative program, hoping that we understand the dynamics well enough to structure it so that it is appropriate and helpful, and indeed, so it's a win both for the private sector and for the public side if this goes forward. I think is significant, and I am proud of Wilsonville having tried a program in the earlier recession when we had it, and learning from that happening. Actually, that grew out of a proposal we had for a company to move here, a solar company, and it did not work out smoothly. And we learned from that, and then we learned from our first iteration of this program, and now I think that we are carrying that forward. And I think that it is so critical that the community as a whole has that broad perspective and learns from its actions over time, but is not afraid to be innovative, to try something out, and to be nimble enough to go forward with an idea that looks to be beneficial, and to learn from that experience and to build on that experience. So to me, this is a appropriate and significant step based on learning that has gone back over an extended period of years, and I'm proud of our staff for working on it. I thank the council for being open and understanding about that process, and I have high hopes that this program can be passed and can be beneficial for our community. I think enticing and welcoming high-paid jobs is a worthwhile component of our growth, and Wilsonville has done well with steps in the past. I think that this is very likely to prove to be a productive step going forward. So I'm in favor and hopeful that the council is and the community is also. Anybody else would like to comment? If not, I will ask for the vote. All in favor of the motion to approve resolution number 2856, please say aye. Indicate by raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
I have 5 affirmatives, making it unanimous vote in favor. Thank you all very much. Thank you, gentlemen, that have worked on this also.
Thank you, council.
That brings us to another piece of new business, resolution number 2858.
Resolution number 2858, a resolution and order amending resolution number 2844 to further extend the local state of emergency and emergency measures as authorized by resolution number 2803. And so I'll just give a really brief report on this. I think you're all familiar. Wilsonville has been following along with the governor's order and extending our emergency order as the governor's order extends. It gives us the opportunity to tap into funding and also to have some flexibility with our own code, as I'll talk about in a minute. Our resolution and the state resolution are set to expire at the beginning of November. This resolution extends that expiration date through December 31. 2020, and it could be extended further, or it could be terminated earlier if circumstances changed, although it's looking pretty much like this will go through, certainly through the end of the year. But what's unique about this particular amended order is that per our earlier conversations about trying to do things to help small businesses, this does allow us under the emergency declaration to have flexibility with our own code to give the planning director authority to authorize some temporary use permits longer than would normally be allowed, and with waiving the fee in order to help businesses in commercial and industrial areas that need a temporary structure, perhaps a covered area at vet clinics where people can drop off their pets, or a covered area to allow for more outdoor seating during, the rainy season, perhaps with some other amenities there so that more dining can occur outside. Things like that, and things that we might not even be thinking about right now. So those are the two major components of this resolution, and that's it.
Thank you. Council, any questions for Ms. Jacobson on this proposed extension of the emergency ordinance? I see none. What is the pleasure of the council with regard to resolution 2858?
Go ahead. Your Honor, I would move to approve resolution number 2858.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Councilor Lehan, second by Councilor Linville. Any discussion?
I think this is a forward-thinking thing to do here, so that we're not caught without the ability to move forward on behalf of the community. So it's early to do this, but I think it's the right thing to do.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Councilor Akeball.
Just that I agree with that. During this whole pandemic period, I think one of the hardest things is the uncertainty. How many times it feels like the goalpost gets moved and changed as we learn more, and as this is enduring and it's kept in our midst, for a long time. So to be able to put this out a little bit further out may give businesses a little bit more structure. And hey, I can make these adaptations or these changes, and knowing that something, at least something, may be in effect until the end of June, and it may help them in looking at how to adapt their business model and make some plans, because I know it's been really hard for everyone to continually change and continually be flexible. So. I appreciate what this allows and the opportunities that this allows, and I hope that as a council we can continue to provide that support.
Thank you. Councilor Linville.
Well, Your Honor, I just wanted to mention that today there was new guidance that came out from the Oregon Health Authority that related to statewide mask, face covering, and face shield guidance. And it just reminded me that we're not out of the woods on this yet. And the last thing that we want to have happen is for us to really have to exercise some emergency measures that would close things back down. And so I think this is a wise decision for us to put in place and allow our city leadership to be able to make those decisions and to turn quickly should something come out of the governor's office. So in addition to what it allows us to do in terms of getting government out of the way to help our economic recovery in the community, it also allows us to be nimble and deal with whatever are the changes that might come down, either through the Oregon Health Authority or through the governor's office. So I support this resolution as well.
Thank Thank you. Other comment? I think this aligns well with the work that we just talked about in providing an innovative way to address things. It's clear that COVID is not gone, and ignoring it is not going to give us a way forward. Our businesses need to have ability to adapt. We need to try to open doors for them to do so in any way that we can, recognizing that the virus is still prevalent out there in our state, and we need to think about it and clearly, but find avenues forward for our business community and for our citizens. And anything that we can do in that vein, I think, is worth considering. So I see this in that light, and I think we need to continue probing for how we can facilitate, I guess I would say. If there's no other discussion, I will then ask council. What am I going to ask you? We have a motion and a second, right? And we will ask then for the vote. All in favor of the motion to approve resolution 2858 as has been read and discussed, please say aye. Indicate by raising your hand.
Aye. Aye.
I have 5 in favor, unanimous passing in favor of approving resolution 2858. Thank you all for that. That then brings us to, we have no continuing business listed for tonight, no public hearings for tonight. Mr. Cosgrove, City Manager, anything you would like us to know about?
Yeah, before I get into the DEI conversations and the police data and transparency, things that we're working on, staff with some community folks that are interested in that, I just wanted to just take a minute. I think Councilor West mentioned the dog park, and I was there for the soft grand opening where we basically acknowledge the efforts of staff. And if you haven't been down there, just at a high level, it's probably the most impressive dog park that I've ever seen. With all that grass out there, most dog parks have bark dust and wood chips and stuff like that, but this actually provides a lot of turf for dogs to roam and to have fun. There's obviously drinking water stations. There's a dog wash station, so you can wash your dog there. There's obviously a restroom that was a little bit behind schedule, but turned out to be a very nice amenity that'll serve the dog park and the community garden. I mentioned the perimeter trail, all the landscaping and irrigation system. With the exception of the dog wash station and the parking lot, in the restroom, I wanted you to know that your staff did all that work. The Parks and Maintenance staff down there saved well over north of $100,000 in construction costs, which is super impressive. And I just want to take a second to acknowledge a few of those staff members, specifically Preston Langlers, who was serving as the interim Parks Maintenance Supervisor, oversaw a majority of it, but also his replacement, Dustin Schell, who was a in-house promotion to that position, and Tommy Reeder, who's the Parks Maintenance lead worker, and all the staff that work under those folks just did an amazing job. Super proud to be associated with the talent that we have in the city. So I just wanted to call them out. And then on the diversity, equity, inclusion side, I know that you're all aware that we've scheduled a listening session. There'll be more details that come out on that. That's December 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. So you will all be involved in that because you said yes, you accepted that. So the way this will work is we'll have a facilitator. We'll have some prompts and questions to the community, and people will call in and they will tell you what they think about how Wilsonville is doing on these areas. So the looks on your faces will not be much different than they will that night, because really all we're asking is not to engage with folks, but just to listen. And the goal of that will be to gather that information. And then what I'm proposing, and we'll be working with the group that have been working with us on this, is for you to allow me to do a city manager appointed task force. We can do some self-selection and identify people in the community that are interested in this topic. with the goal of meeting between January and September of 2021 to bring back a recommendation to City Council on a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee for the city. So that'll just be another committee that we'll be looking at, and the timeline will be sometime late fall 2021. On the police discussions that we're having, that'll also be something that we'll be working really hard on in 2021. We've been working with a small group of folks on that, also Rob Werps and the folks at Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. There's some challenges there because we don't have our own police department. So what we thought we would do starting out with that group is to have them self-select issues that they're interested in and concerned about, and we could bring in the experts from the county sheriff's department to give basically just Q&A sessions and do some educational stuff, so we can set a good foundation with those folks and then figure out what kind of a process we need going forward with some kind of recommendation to City Council as well. So both of those kind of will be working on a parallel track, and we'll keep you informed as to our progress. And that's all I have for updates.
Thank you very much. Not like there's nothing going on in spite of the challenges of reduced staff availability and budget concerns, but we need to keep moving forward. Any legal business?
Yes, I have one thing. A few days ago, I sent you the proposed ordinance that Marion County is planning to adopt, as I understand it, on Wednesday for TLM Holding. And along with that proposed ordinance, I sent you an email from their legal counsel. They are aware, of course, that Aurora is planning to appeal this decision and had spoken to the City Council here about joining in that appeal, and the City Council's response is, let's wait and see what the decision looks like. So they had asked if they might be able to come and speak with you about the decision. And certainly I can tell them they can come during citizen input at the next meeting. If that's okay with you, if there's a different time you'd rather have them come, I can also have them reach out to the community development director and talk to the planning staff. But I just wanted to remind you about that request, and my inclination was to tell them that they could come to the next or the following council meeting and speak during citizen input, unless you have another way that you would like to deal with it.
You could also put them under public presentation, as we have with other government entities, if you want to allow a little more time, a little more give and take. It's up to you. Either one would work.
Yeah, and if you put them under citizen
I'm wondering
input,
whether
you can give them a little
whether 3 minutes under citizen would be really adequate or not. If they want to come, certainly I'm not opposed to hearing from anybody that has something to say. We probably don't want to get in a debate with them at that point in time. It would be in a matter, from my point of view, of gathering information if the council wishes to do that. Council, do you have a preference? Councilor Linville.
Well, Your Honor, I would agree that we ought to give them the opportunity to present whatever information they think is appropriate for us to hear. I would agree that it isn't necessarily required that we would engage with all that information, but certainly it would allow us to ask questions if they were able to do a little bit more of a presentation. So I would support that.
So that would imply not just 3 minutes, but maybe a little more time. Yeah.
Typically, you grant 15 minutes under public presentations, so I could direct them that maybe 7.5 of that would be presentation and reserve 7.5 for a Q&A, if that's something that you'd like to do.
Is that what your preference is? I'm seeing some nodding heads. Any thumbs up? You know, yeah, I think that's where the council's at. Ms. Cosgrove, maybe we should plan on that, and Ms. Jacobson, if we could communicate that.
Sure, I will let them know next council meeting, which would be the 2nd. And that will give you, I mean, then you'll have to decide at the following council meeting if there's any action that you plan to take, or you may decide not to take any action. So that would be good timing, I think, for them. And I think that's
yeah,
what
that
they're
sounds like
hoping.
that would make sense. Yeah.
Okay, well, I will let them, I will extend that offer then. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
All right. Anything else for the good of the council here tonight?
Other than a quick urban renewal meeting.
We do have urban renewal, don't we? Okay. Thank you for the reminder.
You're welcome.
Well, that case, does anyone need a break, or should we go directly to urban renewal?
We're good.
We're good. How much time do you need to switch over on
No time needed.
side there?
You just gavel us out of this and gavel us into urban renewal, and we're good.
All right. So I will call us adjourned at 8:19 on City Council, and let's see here.
I don't have an agenda up. I don't know.
Yeah, I got to get my agenda up here too. Just a sec. All right. Full agenda for urban renewal.
Anyway, we can put those up on the screen.
I will call to order Wilsonville Urban Renewal Agency meeting for October 19, 2020 at 8:20 p.m. and request a roll call, please.
Board Member Linville? Board Member Linville?
Here.
Board Member West?
Here.
Board Member Ackerval?
Wait, I didn't hear.
Yeah, it was Board Member West, but I think Councilor Linville was weighing in on your presence. She noticed.
I didn't hear it well.
Yeah, he's here.
I'm here.
Board Member Ackerval?
Here.
Board Member Lehan?
Here.
Chair Knapp?
Here. So we're all present. Thank you very much. Citizens input, which is an opportunity for visitors to address Urban Renewal Agency on items not on the agenda. Also a time to address things that are on the agenda but not scheduled for public hearings. Staff and the board will make every effort to respond to questions raised during citizens input, either before tonight's meeting ends or as soon as possible thereafter. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to speak under citizen input? All right, that brings us to our consent agenda, please.
Urban Renewal Agency Resolution Number 311, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville Urban Renewal Agency Board authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement contract with OTAC Inc. for construction engineering services for the 5th Street Kinsman Road Extension Project. And finally, minutes of the September 21, 2020 URA meeting.
Thank you very much. If I could have my council back so I can see them. Thank you. Is there a motion on consent? Ms. Linville.
Your Honor, I move to approve the URA consent agenda.
Thank you. Motion by Councilor Ms. Linville. Is there a second? Ms. Lehan.
Second.
Second by Ms. Lehan. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Aye. We have 5 in favor, so that is unanimous. All in favor. I have no other business listed. Anything that needs discussion that's not on the agenda?
Nope. See you on election eve.
Yeah, election eve.
For election.
Number 2. All right, I will gavel us out as adjourned at 8:23, and thank you everybody for your participation.
Good night.